Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another event recap video. In today's video, we're going over the top 8 of Otakon as well as the top 8 of the main event for the Pasadena Regional. Firstly, I want to shout out my teammate Jamal Moultrie for winning the Otakon event. Shout out to you, man. You worked so hard all throughout the year at Dragon Ball Super, and I'm really proud that you pulled your first W. Really happy for you, man. Congratulations. With that being said, we're getting into this event coverage video. Before we get into the video, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with the awesome Dragon Ball Super content that I post here. If you're looking for a Dragon Ball Super community to get in touch with, check out the Discord in the description below. Amazing group of people to talk about set 7 with for your new decks. And finally, guys, if you're longtime fans of the channel, or if you want to get up on some competitive content now that we are in regional season, check out the Patreon in the description below. Lots of competitive content for just $1 a month. Really helps the channel out a lot. With that being said, we're going to get into this event breakdown video. So firstly, top 8 of the Pasadena Regional. I also want to shout out my Patreon, Kyle Wilson, for getting top 4 at this event. We talked about the deck, we play tested a bunch, and I'm really happy to see the results that he got at this event playing Toa. There were 3 Toas in Top Cut, and I think it's really important to mention with Toa what decks are in Top Cut, but also what decks are not in Top Cut. So top 8 of Pasadena did not feature Shenron Gogeta and did not feature Hidden Mastery Victory Strike. So what's really important to realize is these are the first 2 events that featured the new ban list. So no Battering Laser, Cold Bloodlust to 1, and no Shugesh. So Toa already serves as a pretty hard check to Shenjita because they can never really just go in on you with the triple attack. That's kind of obvious thanks to Toa's Activate Main, or Activate Battle, I guess, on the backside. But with Cold Bloodlust to 1, Toa answering Path to the Greatness just got so much easier. So if you can pull off a turn 3 Awaken with something like the Revive Ravager Vegeta, then you can use your Toa's ability to remove Barrier from Path to Greatness. Then you can steal it with a Toa or remove it with a Dimensional Banisher Fu. Whatever the case is, you have much more access to removal now, mostly because they can't really negate your removal. So Toa taking up 3 slots in Top Cut. Even though Vegetas are kind of hard to come by, they are handing them out basically for free at these regional events if you're in the closed, or I think for a $20 entry at the open events. So that's pretty cool. That's an easy way for people to get these cards. And I think Toa probably had a pretty decent amount of representation in the room if it did take up 3 slots in Top Cut. So again, I want to shout out to Kyle. Congratulations on your Top Cut. Much deserved. Very well earned. Next, we're talking about Janemba. So the Pasadena Regional, Janemba took 2 spots in Top Cut. This is pretty interesting to see because lately what we've been seeing from Janemba is either it misses Top Cut or it maybe has like 1 slot in Top Cut if like Devin Butterworth's playing at the event, right? So 2 slots is pretty interesting. This is somewhat of like an open format, I guess you can say, because we are in a new ban list, and it's kind of interesting how we're only getting 1 event with the new ban list, but with no set 7. So next event's going to be Gen Con with set 7 and new ban list, obviously. But yeah, so this is the only real event of this format, and I guess Otakon as well. So Janemba taking up slots in this Top Cut with Shenron Gogeta not being super prevalent in Top Cut, and with Broly Hidden Mastery being severely checked. I really think Broly Hidden Mastery is severely checked without Battering Laser because Hidden Mastery just eats it alive. And I know that at least one of these 2, if not both, Janemba lists were blue-yellow, so obviously that one was probably main decking Mutaito. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact lists for you guys. I'm sorry about that, but we're kind of making the best with what we have, right? So one of these Janemba decks at least was blue-yellow, if not both of them, and Mutaito main deck is going to make that Hidden Mastery matchup a ton easier because you're just going to Mutaito Hidden Mastery. They need to have the 1 of Cold Bloodlust to answer that. If they don't, you just remove the Hidden Mastery with Demon Sword next turn, and they just lost a ton of tempo. So really huge here. Next up, we have the winner of Pasadena. We have the Rogue Pan strategy. I guess we can call it more of a meta strategy now. So Chain Zeno decks in the past have obviously done very well. They definitely always make Top Cut for the most part, whether it's Pan, whether it's Rudergarn, whether it's Vegeta Baby, whatever flavor of the week it might be. But this deck has not won a ton of events. So to see Pan come in, and I would consider taking a Rogue win, especially where, like I said, that Hidden Mastery Victory Strike deck is very nerfed right now, where Shenron Gogeta probably just got eaten up by all these Toa players. With so much Toa in Top Cut, Shenron Gogeta probably didn't have much of a fighting chance to get in there. So Pan taking the W here. I think Chain Zeno picks up a lot of stock right before set 7 comes out, but I do think set 7 is going to kind of check Chain Zeno pretty hard just because of all the new counterplays that answer it. We have things like Denial of Hope. We have things like You're Wide Open. So all those cards are going to give Chain Zeno a bit of a hard time, but I do think this is a really good pick for this event in particular, right in between new ban list season and set 7 season. Next up, a fan favorite of mine, Vegeta Baby. Amazing deck. Has potential to go really aggressive with like your Baby Chain, going 1-drop into 1-drop into a 4-drop double strike draw card. Then you have obviously your Chain Attack Burst Attack shenanigans. You also have Chain Zeno shenanigans. I'm not sure if this deck was maining Chain Zeno here, but we've seen in the past that Vegeta Baby decks maining Chain Zeno have had more success than those not maining Chain Zeno. I mean, when you can main an entire board reset an entire hand reset, that's obviously pretty good. And like I said before, Chain Zeno in this type of environment where Bloodlust is down to 1, I think is a really solid pick. And then we had 1 skillless. I'm not even sure how to feel about this anymore. I'm not even sure how I feel about the deck anymore. I do love the deck deep down in my heart. But 1 skillless also making top cut. Just a great choice. I do think skillless, I'm not sure exactly what build of skillless this was, but skillless, in my opinion, is one of the best aggro picks of the format. If you're playing some type of blue strategy, hopefully with yellow or red, I do think it's one of the best aggro decks in the format. And with Broly Head of Mastery, again, being checked hard by Mutaito because of the lack of battering laser, any yellow skillless build can easily main deck that. And if Sharon Gogeta was not in the format, skillless definitely can thrive in an environment like this. So next up, we're going to talk about the top 8 of Otakon. So bear with me because I literally just got this information. So we're going to go through it as best we can. So we've got 2 Broly Height of Masteries at this event making the top 8, one of which was my teammate again, Jamal. He was playing a much more aggressive build though. He was playing a lot more like swap spam and a source of power spam for aggressive plays where you can't necessarily rely on Victory Strike and Height of Mastery. The other build, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I would imagine it was a little bit more plain Jane what we've been seeing with the Master Shen, Master Roshi combo, things like that. So that was 2 slots in that top cut. We had 1 Red Gogeta BR. This is definitely more of a rogue pick, something we don't see too often. This was almost definitely not maining Chain Zeno, so it was probably a red deck that was more true to its theme, more true to its archetype, but in an environment where it's kind of open because of that ban list. That ban list is kind of giving people a little bit of confusion on what's the best deck to play. A lot of people are going to fall back on Shenjita. A lot of people are going to fall back on Height of Mastery. I do think people that fell back on Height of Mastery this time were a little bit disappointed. They might not have realized how much it is actually checked going into the ban list format. But I do think Shenjita is still a very powerful pick, and we're going to see that in this top cut here. So shout out to Red Gogeta for being a rogue pick in top cut. That's pretty impressive. Next up in top 8, we had a yellow skillless build and a red skillless build. So that was one of which I believe was Eric Goodwin. Shout out to him with yellow skillless. The red skillless player, I'm not sure exactly what their main deck was. It could have been a more aggressive build with like Intensifying Power Trunks into Dimension Sport Trunks into Fearless Pan. It could have also been more of just a sit back and stall red version with the Feisty Chi-Chi combo. Feisty Chi-Chi bring out a Vanilla Goku so you can get max value off of your Android 8s. So it could have been one or the other or a hybrid of both. Either way, those are very good decks to be going with. I do still think that skillless is a very strong deck in the format, and I think it's still gonna be very strong going into set 7 as well. I do think it's still a very good pick going into that event. So 4th place at this event was Shenjita. So this is kind of an all over the place top cut here at Otakon. I mean, Shenjita is definitely more expected, but with Red Gogeta BR and some of the decks we're gonna see next, it was very all over the place. But Shenjita, not surprising, it's one of the strongest decks in the format. It just does one of the most unfair things. Not to say it's unbeatable in any regard. There are several decks that can beat it. I mean, almost any deck can beat it as long as you're not like Frieza Prison, in my opinion. As long as you're playing something that has somewhat of an aggressive playstyle or somewhat of a strong mid-range playstyle, I do think you can kind of come out on top against Shenjita. However, I do think the deck's still annoying, and I do think the deck just can earn its pilot some undeserved wins. But that being said, that's enough salt for that deck, I guess. Next up, we had 3rd place Demigra. This is actually really neat to see. I do think this deck picks up a lot of traction with Cold Bloodlust at 1. You have a lot of powerful overrun plays that just can't really get stopped until set 7 comes out with all the new counter plays. So Demigra at this spot is pretty interesting. Also interesting that it's not a Toa deck, but it is a Demigra deck. I'm sure it was just a Vegeta Time Regulator deck that abused it and drew a ton of cards. But to see that it wasn't Toa for that extra control factor is pretty interesting. And again, this was a smaller event. I believe Otakon was about 35 to 40 players, so got to keep in mind the pool of players that were there, those with very specific deck types, I'm sure. 2nd place, Matt Sublet with U7 Ramp Victory Strike. This guy is just so dedicated to this deck, so tried and true, and it does yield results for him. It does definitely yield results for him. It's a very powerful way to play Victory Strike. He's got turn 4 win conditions, turn 5 win conditions, and yeah, very focused deck. And then finally, we had my teammate Jamal playing Broly aggro Height of Mastery. He said he only won 1 game in the entire tournament with Height of Mastery Victory Strike. He mostly relied on the aggro pushes to win. And me and my team have been playing this deck for a little bit now. The source of power aggro in this deck is incredibly strong. But like I said, I do think that the Height of Mastery Victory Strike portion of the deck is pretty hard checked by Mutaito. And a lot of the counterplays coming out in set 7. I mean, almost all the counterplays answer Path of Greatness to start. Then we have a new Champa, which is basically going to be a budget version of Mutaito for anyone who can't afford Mutaito or can't get access to Mutaito. So I do think that a ton of decks are going to be able to answer Height of Mastery Victory Strike going into set 7, especially post ban list. I do think Shenron Gogeta is a little bit short of answers, though. I don't think there are too many answers out there, but I do think we're actually going to get some new aggressive archetypes, like one being the Red Gohan Burn Leader. I do think it's going to be a pretty valid aggro archetype to expect going forward. So overall, really cool stuff at these events. Very, very diverse metagame. We've been seeing that a lot since the Super Shenron ban, or I guess errata / ban list, and whatever you want to call it. But I'm really excited going to set 7, guys. Gen Con will be the first event with set 7. Ban list will be legal. Set 7 will be legal. I will be there. Come say what's up to me at Gen Con. Super excited to go there and experience a brand new format. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you guys have any more information for me about these events in the comments down below. And if you're looking for more information on these events, make sure you check out the comments down below. People usually always drop some good stuff there. So guys, thanks for watching. My name is Joey. This is Crossworld TCG, and I'll see you guys in the next video.